Hey guys, Christina Weber here, and this is Understanding Drag Part 2. So as you probably read, this is about drag, specifically to the lever drag, star drag, and spinning reels. I had a few requests for fly reels and spin cast. I'm not really going to get into those two, but I have no problem. If you want, we can talk about those via email. Okay, so we're going to start with star, since that's kind of where I started in the blog. Here's your star drag. There's also your lower profile bait casters are always going to have a star drag as well. These are, very simple. We aren't usually needing a lot of drag when we're using these lower profile bait casters. Yes, we need drag, but we are not putting as much pressure and tension on those fish as we think we are or need to. So we'll get into that probably next, like how much drag is too much. We'll get into that. So basic star drag system. A lot of the ways you can make this more accurate, that's kind of one of the things with the star drags, is that it's not as accurate as far as when like when I push a lever drag to strike, I know how much pounds of pressure I'm putting on that fish. With a star, you don't really know that. I don't have it done here, but you can paint. What you want to do is, make this as loose as possible, and it can't go back anymore. So you'll want to mark, maybe paint one of these, something that's not going to come off or come off as easy. And then what you can do is you can turn this forward, and you can watch the dial. So now I turned it one rotation, and I can take my Lucid fish grips and I can put it on the end of this, and I can pull, and I can see how much pounds of pressure I have. Again, I can continue to rotate that until I get it set to where I like it, and I can leave it that way. But I can also turn it a few more rotations, knowing like, hey, this is really just where I like to have it, more of in a strike position. And if I want to put more pressure on that fish, I can, and I know that I only have to turn this one or two more rotations, and I have kind of the max drag I really want to put on this fish. So that is a way that you can do that and make it a little bit more accurate. So we have our lever drag right here. This is obviously one of my favorites. I've stated that a few times. I like it because it's very simple. I always know what's going on with the reel. I know that this is free spool. I can see it. That's the best part. I can look down the gunnel of the boat and I can see like, oh, okay, like this guy actually knows what he's doing. He doesn't have the reel all the way to strike when we're fishing live bait, because that would just be a disaster. So it just is a visual thing. It's really nice to be aware of. It's simple to use, and as I stated, the washers are going to be as big as the spool, so you can only imagine how much pressure that's actually putting on the fish. And it's that direct pressure. It's not coming from anywhere else. It's directly on the spool, kind of like your car brakes. So obviously I think that that's the most effective way to do things. And so a way that you would like to maybe set this is you have your preset knob. So your preset knob is going to allow you to set your drag. So you're going to turn it, and you can see this is in free spool. I can bump this up, and that would be a way that I might want to fish live bait or something. I don't want to put a lot of tension on the reel. I want to let that bait be able to swim, and when I get a strike, I won't bird's nest my reel or lose my tackle into the water. Also saying that preset knob will allow me to know how many pounds of pressure I'm putting on at strike. This is strike. Again, every reel is a little different. Sometimes they have a little knob to where it says strike. Sometimes there's a little button. You can make a little dot if you want to with whiteout or a Sharpie or something. It's totally up to you. Some people do that. That's just suggestions. And the nice thing is at strike, I know how many pounds of pressure I'm putting on this fish. I can see it. Now, if I need to put more, at least I know how much more I'm putting on. But this really allows you to leave no room for error. That's the nice thing about it, is that you cannot, I'm going fishing for this specific species in this way. I know that I only can put this much pressure on this fish because, like swordfish, for example, they have really soft mouths. Well, I cross-use a lot of my tackle, even though I'm always suggesting that people don't do it. If you know, until you are a bazillionaire and you have enough money to purchase something for everything, you're going to cross-use your tackle, which is fine. Just be aware of those situations. You're not going to use the same amount of drag for wahoo as you would for swordfish. It's just not something that it's just different types of fishing. So with a lever drag, to me, this leaves less room for error because I can go home and I can set this drag for that specific style of fishing in that species. I can see it. Visually, I can see it. Anybody on the boat can use it, and to me, that's the best way to do it. It is madness in the filming studio of Christina Weber, by the way. Oh my gosh. So if your drag's loose, that'll happen. We don't want that to happen. So going into your spinning reels, as you can tell, I have this loose, but I just wanted to show you that, you know, inside your spool, this is kind of where all your goodness is. This is where your washers and plates are going to be, and obviously depending on the size of your reel will depend on the size of the spool, which will depend on the size of your washers and plates. Super basic concept. I think a lot of people have questions on how I kind of mark this as how much pressure I want to put on. Personally, I will tell you how you can do it, and I'm going to tell you how I do it. I mean, this is just a 2500. It's not very big. I'm not putting much pressure on any fish that I'm actually catching with this anyway. If I'm going for bigger fish, I'm going for bigger reels. If I'm going to fish around more structure, which is a lot of the times where you really need to put that stopping pressure on those fish. For example, snook. They are going to run you straight into a dock, straight into a bridge, straight into whatever structure is there, because that's what they do, as for most species do as well. So when I'm setting this, what I do is I just basically kind of turn it righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, and I give myself an idea, but that might just be because I've been doing this a little bit longer and I'm able just to kind of generally feel how much pressure I want to put on it. So with my Lucid fish grip, that is a 30-pound scale, I'm going to show you how you can test the drag on your reel. This works well if you have 2 people, but in this case it's only me, so I'm just going to kind of show you something a little basic, general note. I have my Corrado bait caster. I'm going to hammer the drag. As you can tell, that's as far as it's going to go. I would not ever use it like this unless I was probably flipping, but other than that I don't have any other use to have my drag hammered on my lower profile bait casters. So this is probably going to happen. This line is going to go flying through this little tiny lip. You can add maybe a leader to this, something a little bit heavier, but for now this is what I'm working with. So all I'm going to do is try to do it as straight as possible. And this is showing me that it is only like 3 pounds of drag, which is more than I thought it was going to show me. Yeah, 3 pounds of drag. What you can do is you can put this on a rod if you want to. Your heavier conventional reels you'll want to put on a rod, and so you don't break your tackle, because you can have the nicest rod, but if you put stress on your rod the wrong way, so if you're sitting here and you have like the rod tip and you're trying to pull it this way, you're probably going to break your rod. So forewarning, there are ways to do this and ways to not. If you need to do it with someone, just wait, go get the neighbor, but just wait until you have somebody with you, or just do it as I showed you. That is a great way to test your drag. Lucid fish grips. Check them out. So that is the end of part 2. There will be a part 3. If you have any questions or suggestions, please reach out and let me know. You know where to find me, and I will do my best to get back to you and include them in the next segment or a following segment. So thanks for everyone who reached out before. I really appreciate the one-on-ones, and I'll see y'all.